Hi, everybody. Joey here. Welcome to the Practice Center, where I talk about all things mindfulness, forgiveness, and attitudinal healing. And this is just a little bit of an informal chit chat because it came across my mind. And I like to share stories of how I incorporate some of this stuff into my day to day life and how I know that it's working. And today I want to specifically address my relationship with my kids. I have adult children. And a lot of my shame and guilt and resentment um, against myself and the life that I've lived shows up in the relationships in my life. I I would consider myself a loner, lonely. Those are the words I typically have used to describe myself. And as I've embarked on a healing journey for years and years now, some of the common phrases that I use is like, who cares what we're using or what we're practicing? Like the evidence, the truth, we have to kind of compare that in our body and just kind of test it out. So um, if something is working, your body will know. Or as we come to trust our bodies a little bit more and embody the practices and such, it'll show up there, right? As feelings that we can actually identify. Those moments of awareness will open. So here's the thing that, like, in the back of my mind, I've wanted, like, as my adult kids live in various places, and there have been years that I've gone with barely seeing my kids. And that made me feel like shit. And it comes up in lots of stories of grievances in my life. So some of my forgiveness stories includes like how I am working towards more love for myself and my kids. And then the evidence will be in my body, right? And the evidence will be in the strengthening of those relationships in my life. So this is how it plays out in my world. Um, one of my kids all of a sudden calls and wants to like establish a weekly dinner. Simple thing, right? And yet when I heard it, it made me feel sad. Now that's my go-to emotion for a lot of things. Now, now that now that I know what grief and sadness and getting in touch with those things is, like, I'm there all the time. I'm thinking that maybe I'll grow out of it, maybe I won't, who knows? But in this moment, I feel like, really? You want to have dinner with me for like no reason, just regularly, just to connect? So some of my stories around being an adopted girl, moving all the time, like being alone and loneliness, or people wanting to be around me just to be around me and not because I have to come to a class or they want something from me, is a foreign concept and it still feels strange. And so it makes me, I think, emotional because it is what I want out of life. And it feels weird to ask for things like that, like of the universe or in the quietness of my meditations. Like, what does happiness mean to me? And it means like this close, regular relationship with my kids, a close, mundane, regular relationship with my kids. So not for events, not for parties, not for birthdays, not because I'm buying something, not because I'm, just regular stuff. And I know too, those of you, all of you who have loving, close families, like this must sound strange. But for so many of us who do feel alone and struggle to kind of maintain relationships, I was a single parent for most of my child rearing years, and I'm single now and I live in a tiny house. Like, so much of my life happens here, and I really work hard to embody the rest of it. So just that feeling, recognizing and feeling really grateful for, but also recognizing like the years that passed that were wasted. Like there's some grief around that still. So yeah, because of this mess and because it makes me feel, is how I know my practice is working. So how do you gauge yours? What signs do you look for? How do you know that you're emotionally growing or growing in connections, the authentic relationship in your life? Love to chat with you about it. So that's all for today. Thanks.